Morning and happy Thursday. Today we are going to be going over the May 14th portion of the distance learning packet. For reading, you're going to read for 15 minutes. Again, you can use a book of your choice or a foldable in the back of the book. I have been getting really good feedback from Storyline Online where you turn on those captions. They read the story to you, but you're also able to read the subtitles for that as well. We are also going to be revisiting Fresh from the Market from yesterday, and where we're going to ask you to read that text aloud, and then you're going to point to the compound words such as strawberries on page 6, and then we're going to want you to brainstorm a list of other compound word foods such as blueberry, meatloaf, and hopefully you will be able to find some more on your own. For writing today, we're going to be writing a silly story using your list of compound words. We have some grammar and spelling where we're going to go over words that end in Y and LY. And then for math, we're going to have a math task and a little bit of procedural practice. So let's go ahead and get started. This is Fresh from the Market. This is the story that you're going to be revisiting. As you can see, I've circled strawberries. It is a compound word that we focused on last week, where you have the word straw and then you have the word berries, and when you put them together you get strawberries. They want you to, after you read, they want you to go through and make a list of compound words that are foods. So here I kind of gave you a few examples. Strawberries, obviously from the text, blueberries, and meatloaf were other examples they gave you. And then I came up with watermelon and then oatmeal. As you can see, the compound words are two words that when put together, they make a brand new word that has an entirely different meaning. So those are some examples, but make sure you build your list. So that way when you get to the writing prompt, you have a fun list of words to write that silly story. Okay, and then getting into writing, you're going to write that silly story using your list of compound words. Remember, when you're writing a narrative story, you need to include the characters, and the characters are who is in the story, the setting, which is very important. That's where the story happens. Actions are what do the characters do? Dialogue, that's what the characters say. Maybe you have characters that talk back and forth to each other. And then a lot of times in a narrative story, there's going to be a problem and a solution. And remember, the problem is something that happens to the characters or in the story, and then the solution is how that problem gets solved. Okay, and remember, when you are writing your story, you need to start each sentence with a capital letter. Proper nouns such as names and places are capitalized, and you need punctuation at the end of a sentence. And remember, the proper nouns, that's going to be names, a place. It can be a state, or if it's the name of a restaurant, that would need to be capitalized. An example of that is Harding Elementary, because that is a place and it is a school, but we're actually calling it by its name, Harding Elementary. That would need to be capitalized. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to our words with Y or LY endings. This is our spelling and grammar for the day, where we're going to read these sentences and we're going to complete them with the spelling word that works the best. And remember, in class I always use that rule: does it look right and does it sound right? So after we fill it in with the word, we're going to ask ourselves those two questions, and if the answer is yes for both of them, we'll know that we probably more than likely completed that sentence with the correct word. So the words we're going to use today are rainy, messy, friendly, happy, slowly, quickly, funny, lucky, neatly, and likely. And as you can see, they all end in either a Y or an LY. So let's go ahead and get started. Number 1, my grandmother thinks a 4-leaf clover is. So if you come up here and you look at this list of words, you might say, oh, likely. Well, let's go ahead and put likely in and finish that sentence and see if it looks right or if it sounds right. My grandmother thinks a 4-leaf clover is likely. Well, now let's ask ourselves, does it look right? No, not really. And does it sound right? No. So we know likely is not an option. And an easy way to do this is you can actually go through the list and fill in each word. This one, I'm going to try lucky. My grandmother thinks a four-leaf clover is lucky. Does it look right? It looks right to me. Does it sound right? Yes, because a lot of people think that four-leaf clovers are lucky. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to cross out lucky because I think that is our best option for number 1. For number 2, I take an umbrella when the weather is. When the weather is rainy, when the weather is messy, when the weather is friendly, when the weather is happy, when the weather is slowly, when the weather is likely, when the weather is neatly, when the weather is funny, or when the weather is quickly. Out of all the options that are left, I think that rainy is going to be our best bet. So I'm going to fill that in. Oop, not rainy, rainy. And we're going to ask ourselves, does it look right? Looks right to me. Does it sound right? I take an umbrella when the weather is rainy. Sounds right to me, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to cross out that option so we know, because once we've used it once, we're going to cross it out because we're only going to use each word one time. I'm going to do a couple more examples. My best friend tells blank jokes. My best friend tells messy jokes. That doesn't really make sense. My best friend tells friendly jokes. That looks like it could make sense, but let's double check to make sure there's not a different option. My best friend tells happy jokes. That also sounds like it could be an option, but let's keep checking to see if there's a better option that fits better. My best friend tells slowly jokes. That one doesn't really make sense. My best friend tells quickly jokes. That one also doesn't make sense. My best friend tells funny jokes. That looks like it's a good option. It looks right, it sounds right, so I feel like funny is going to be the best option there. So let's fill that in. My best friend tells funny jokes. It looks right, sounds right, so I think that is going to be a good option. I'm going to go ahead and go over one more with this portion, and then I'll go over the last portion with you. And then I'm going to want you to try a few on your own. So number 4, Mom told me to clean my blank room. So it's asking yourself, out of the words that are remaining, which one is going to fit the best? My mom told me to clean my neatly room. That doesn't sound right. My mom told me to clean my quickly room. That doesn't sound right. My mom told me to clean my messy room. I think that one might be our best bet. I'm going to fill it in there. Does it look right? Looks right to me. Does it sound right? Sounds right to me. So I think we found our best option. I'm going to cross out messy because once a word is crossed out, we know we can't use it any longer. And then I want you to try 5, 6, 7, and 8 on your own using the remaining words that are not crossed out to find an option that fits the best to complete those sentences. I will go over 9 and 10 where we need to circle the 2 spelling words that are antonyms. And remember, an antonym means the opposite. So we're looking for 2 words that mean the opposite of each other. So in number 9 here, we have slowly, we have funny, we have likely, and we have quickly. And if you chose slowly and quickly as words meaning the opposite, you chose the right one. So again, you're just finding those words that mean the opposite. I'm going to let you try number 10 on your own. The words are friendly, neatly, messy, and rainy. So find the 2 words that mean the opposite of each other. If you have any questions on the remainder of this worksheet, do not hesitate to reach out to me and I will help you the best I can. Let's go ahead and move on to math, where we are going to start with a math task where we have a word problem. A forest ranger plants 132 pine trees and 191 oak trees. How many trees did the ranger plant in all? And as you can see, I underlined in all because that's going to let us know that we need to add together those 2 numbers because they want to know how many all together. We're not taking any away, we're adding all together, so we know that is going to be addition, so we're looking for the sum. I've lined these numbers up based on their place value, and then if we're following the steps for adding 3-digit numbers, we are going to start with the ones column. So let's go ahead and get started. Step 1, 2 plus 1. Well, if we have 2 and 1 more, that tells us that is 3. And remember the rule, 10 or more, move next door. 3 is less than 10, so we know we do not need to regroup. So let's go ahead and move on to step 2. which is our tens column, where we have 3 and 9 more. If we add 3 with 9, we have 9, 10, 11, 12, which 12 is greater than 10, so we know we are going to need to move some of those next door. And when we do that, we're just separating the ones and the tens, or I'm sorry, the tens and the hundreds, so we need to put our 2 is going to go here, and then we're going to regroup that 100 over with the hundreds column. And now we need to do step 3, which is add together our hundreds column, where we have 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 and 1 more is 3. So how many trees did the ranger plant in all? The ranger planted 323 trees. Let's go ahead and move on to some of our procedural practice, where we're going to continue with that 3-digit addition with regrouping. Okay, so let's go ahead. Here they have given us our problems already organized by their place value. We have the ones, the tens, the hundreds. They've drawn that HTO chart for us. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, step 1, we're going to start with those ones where we add 5 plus 4. 5 and 4 more is 9. We do not need to regroup because that is less than 10. So we're going to move on to step 2, where we're going to add our tens column, where we have 7 and 5 more. We have 7 and we're adding that 5, which is going to be 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 is 10 or more, so we know we're going to need to regroup. We're going to put our 2 down here, and then we are going to carry our 1 over to the hundreds. Now we can move on to step 3, where we need to add that hundreds column. We have 1 plus 3. 1 plus 3 is 4. So we're going to add that 4 to 4 more, which is 8. So the sum of 375 and 454 is 829. So let's go ahead and go over number 2, where we're just going to follow those same steps. They have it lined up based on the place value. We always start with the ones column, and remember, 10 or more, we move next door. We have 7 plus 1. 7 plus 1 is 8. That is less than 10, so we can go ahead and move over to the tens column. And where we have 5 plus 9, 5 and 9 more is 14. That is greater than 10, so we need to regroup, where we're going to put our 4 here, and then we are going to carry that 1 over to the hundreds column. Step 3, we're going to add that hundreds column up, where we have 1 plus 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 and 6 more is 9. So the sum of 257 plus 691 is 948. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to number 3. We're going to be still following those same 3 steps. As you see, they have it lined up by the place value for us. Step 1, we're going to always start with that ones column, where we have 5 plus 2. So 5 and 2 more is 7. And then step 2, that is 10, that is less than 10, so we know we do not need to regroup. So step 2, we're going to move on to the tens column, where we have 2 plus 9. If we add 2 and 9 together, that gives us 11. That is greater than 10, so we do need to regroup. So we're going to break apart the ones, and then we're going to regroup those tens into hundreds. Now step 3, the final step, we need to add the hundreds column. We have 1 plus 3. 1 plus 3 is 4, and 4 and 1 more is 5. So the sum of 325 plus 192 is 517. We are going to move on to a little bit more of practice. As you can see here, I've kind of completed number 4, where it's the same thing. The problem is lined up based on the place value. Here they have the lines